speech today out of the normal sequence. Thank you, Dinesh.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. And obviously, I'm looking forward to talk about a topic which is very much what has become a favorite theme in my approach today. How many of you realize that we are facing hopefully temporary but certain tough circumstances? How many of you realize that? Economically, we are having some challenges. There are some other challenges going on. Some of you may like the challenges. Some of you may be saying, hey, these are more than what I wanted to handle. But the theme that I want to mention today is called You Will Overcome. This is also the title of the new book. And what I'm collecting are short stories of real people who have overcome challenges. Now let me give you some information about myself. My name is Minesh Bakshi, just as Rich alluded. And from my accent, you can pretty much guess that I wasn't born in US. And being a speaker isn't that easy to communicate when my accent is not the same as everybody else's in the room. And that was one of the challenges. I remember one of my mentors saying, Minesh, you can hardly speak English. But the reality is not that I can't speak English, but the way I speak isn't exactly what most people assume that they will hear and understand very quickly. I don't know about you in this room necessarily because you are Toastmasters, so you understand the value of listening to people. But there are a lot of people, once they hear a different accent, they kind of tune out. They can't be with a different accent. And that has been one of the challenges I have had to overcome in order to be known more as a speaker. And obviously, luckily enough, I have a good following. I've spoken to a lot of groups, small, bigger groups, etc. So that is one of the challenges I overcame, and I know all of you have overcome different challenges as well. Let me give you a couple more challenges that I've overcome. One of the challenges was within a couple of weeks of my wedding to my wonderful wife, Kim, we found that she had a flare with lupus. And she was in the hospital. So here is February 14th, the first Valentine's Day that we are together, and she's in the hospital. Not exactly the scenario that I had imagined when we got married. Neither had she. So she was in the hospital for a week. She came out. She was feeling okay, but she had to take rest for a while. About a year later, she had another flare. This time her kidney got inflamed, and she was in the hospital for 2 weeks. It was very, very serious. At that time, we realized that she needed to undergo treatment. We went through chemotherapy treatment. So she went through chemotherapy for a year and a half, during which I'm sure most of you know, hair fall out, obesity sets in, people's self-esteem takes a big hit, and it was very difficult for us to communicate. I had no clue how to communicate with my wife at that point in time, and she was like, I just don't understand, I'm being a jerk. And I'm sure I was, because I didn't know how it was like to be in her shoes. So our marriage was taking a hit. Luckily, we had some support network. The lupus had some support network, as well as we got some other counseling on marriage-related issues. At that time, coming from the culture that I come from, I don't believe in divorces. Neither does she. What we did was very simple. We started taking proactive actions, attending workshops, going to different seminars, reading books, engaging ourselves in communicating so that we could improve our relationship. And I'm so happy to say that we have been married over 17 years. She's my best friend, and we cannot wait to spend more time with each other. That is one of the rare accomplishments. Looking back from the challenge we chose to overcome. Let me give you another challenge that I overcame. Was in 1999, I was a computer programmer, working on my own, working at different client sites. And once the project ended, or summarily ended, because it was not planned in one sense, but I had already planned that I would be leaving that profession. So it was about in May of 99 that I told my client that, hey, I wanted to work less hours and work from home. So it was not a big surprise in October that, they said, you don't need to come back anymore. I mean, I was obviously not that keen anymore, as you can imagine. So I started looking for other profession, and the profession which I wanted to take on was speaking. Now, how many of you realize that going from being at a desk, computer-related programming career, to making your income as a speaker, business coach, author, doesn't really have common interest, does it? It doesn't. But guess what? I had a great support from my wife. She said, Minesh, I know you are good at it. I know you can make it happen. With that positive support, over a period of time, we were able to create an income so that I didn't have to worry about not having a job. My wife took on a job as a teacher. She lasted for a year as a teacher because of certain political circumstances and other things that came on. And we weren't sure she could even have children, having experienced, as you know, chemotherapy, damage to her kidneys, and possibly maybe some stress-related other syndromes. Luckily enough, her health was perfect during the first pregnancy and also during the second pregnancy, and we have 2 wonderful children. Looking at all this, all I can tell you is there will be challenges in our lives. The question is not what the challenge is. The question is more about who you become in the process of handling those challenges. So I want to encourage you to do one simple thing. In fact, 30 seconds would be what I would recommend. So in fact, if Peggy can join Chris here, so turn around and share a challenge in short 30 seconds, what that you have overcome that has made you stronger. Go ahead and do that, please, quickly for me. And please switch quickly so that we can wrap it up and come back. So great, how many of you realize that you were able to overcome the challenge that was ahead of you? Right? It made you hopefully stronger. It gave you some ideas on what you could do in the future. For example, I cherish the relationship with my wife so much that I will never sacrifice anything in order to make sure that my life with my wife is very much fun, enjoyable, and we really are communicating with each other in a way that we can look forward to the future that we are to plan. Homeschooling comes into play because one of the things we can be together on that is also, as parents, to be responsible for what we want to teach our children. With all of that information, what I'm going to encourage you to do is turn around to people in your life and look at your own self and say, hey, have I done enough to overcome some of the challenges? And the answer is yes. Now you have an opportunity to share that with other people, and that's exactly the reason the book that I have, You Will Overcome, is to have those inspirational stories to teach other people you will overcome. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much.
Very good.